me, NBT SKY, and we are doing Elon Musk Numerology report that we have to be done and over with. Excuse me. Let me get my little Elon Musk notes because I had to do this over. So, first off, let's get into the realness of it all. In the previous post, I said, Mr. Musk he worth a lot to the point where it's annoying. That's not in a bad way because I ain't mad at the man. None of that. Now, what I learned was this Pretoria, South Africa thing. I was very surprised to find out that he ended up over there. Now, looking at Elon Musk, you got the 19, Elon breakdown, 19, 10, and 1. So we got this sun energy that pops out in this low vibration. Musk also comes out into the 10 and 1. So you see where he matching there regardless. But in his high numbers, his high and mid frequencies, he's still in the high frequency of the moon, which is also a master number, a master intuitive. And, in tarot, I like to call that the high priestess. Someone who has hidden information or unknown information, very knowledgeable about things on sides of the spectrum that the majority is not. And so we can't be mad at it. And this is why it makes a lot of sense for the sun to come down in lower frequencies, because there's a lot of things that he may not shed light on. And even if he does shed light on them, it would be something that you would have to probably be interested in, right? So, this is Elon Musk, his name as we usually would call him publicly, right? But when you look at the full name, it's Elon Reeve Musk. And so, here we got, let's keep in mind, we got 2 11 and 2s in here, so this is in the water. Now, for his full name, you got the 19, 10, and 1, of course, you already know that. And then, you got the 10 and 1 here, which we already know that. So, the Reeves right here comes down to the 29, 11, and 2. Alright, so his 11 and 2 is dominant in this particular part, in his name this way, in Saturn, with his high frequency, mid frequency, and then his Jupiter, his 3, comes down into the lower frequency. Which means that there's a lot that he's probably not going to communicate about and talk about, especially when it comes to the way he creates and builds and so on and so forth. That's just the vibe. When we do the tarot reading, then we're going to look at the high priestess energy. We're going to look at the majors and the Saturn. I might just throw down the majors for him because he got a decent amount of high frequency numbers. Outside of that, it lets you know that he was going to master build one way or the other, because even in his mid frequency, he got a master number 22 and 4, which brings him into Saturn. Any old ways, and we do not, the way I was taught, the way I learned, was you do not break down master numbers. I like to do it anyway. You don't add master numbers. I like to do it anyway. It still brings you into this 33 and 6 energy, then you know that this was his vibe from the beginning. Now, also with this 11 and 2 in there, let you know that there's this little natural gravitation. So, energetically, would he have drifted? Was he supposed to be over here? Sure, I'm not saying this is where he's from. This was public information. So therefore, let's look at Pretoria, South Africa, where we have Pretoria at 48, 12, and 3. The Jupiter comes down in the same position in his full name, right? You have the 0 in the south that comes down in the same position, and his last name brings you to this his low, let's say the low is 0 for this right here. Now that's the 26 of 2, so you still got moon energy there. And then you have Erica 29, 11, and 2. That's high, his high frequency master number. And so in here, there's this balance between Mercury, Uranus, and Neptune, and Mercury in a low number. Right now, when we talk about Mercury, just basics, you talk about flexibility, change, freedom, and sensation. And so when you have Uranus and Neptune sitting in the middle, the seekers of knowledge and liking the mysteries and liking the unknown makes sense for somebody who's gonna go to who wants to go to moon, throw stuff up in orbit, go to Mars, so on and so forth, because it's unknown territory. So this is natural to him. I didn't get to his birthday yet, so wait a minute. Anyway, the Uranus and Neptune also matches in this overall calculation of his birthday, which is 2005. I do not know what Elon Musk was doing in 2005, but I'm sure he was doing something that made money. And he always, right? And Uranus and Neptune. So then for the day, you have you have 6 for the month, 28, 10, and 1. And so this 10 and 1 is dominant in here. This sun energy is dominant in here, and it still comes out in his the medium frequency. And then you have the day and month together brings you this Uranus and Neptune, which still matches, and that comes up in the medium frequency over here. And then you have Pluto down there. So this is letting you know that when you're dealing with Venus, you got this nurturing situation, and every little project. I'm talking about projects, and I'm talking about projects because I want to know. We're looking at the overall mindset of this individual and why this individual can generate and create, whether it's from a previous generation into his generation and in his particular generation into his next generation, so that we can understand that we focused on all the wrong things while he's getting ready to go to Mars, which still reminds me of, not getting all biblical, but reminds me of the Noah's Ark kind of thing, where Noah out there, he putting it together, building it, stocking up, and everybody else partying until they got flooded because they thought Noah was crazy. They found out he wasn't when they were swimming. So anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch, it's gonna let you know that he has his, he has these projects he likes to nurture, even in the family setting, and in his medium, he likes to put his energy, his light on these things, but also it lets you know that he can get into his lower frequency of Pluto, and it can be really rough and really cold and detached. So this, I'm not gonna say is gonna overpower. He get his air, fire, and water. Meanwhile, let's talk about Tesla. Now, Tesla comes down into the 12 and the 3. And the 3 comes down into the medium frequency and the high frequency. That's his Jupiter. And you know how Teslas are. Teslas is connected to other things that connect to other things that communicate with other things. And I just rode in one, and therefore we already know this is matching all this Tesla energy. Then we get into SpaceX, and we talk about 23 and 5 matching this Mercury energy, right? And so in this Mercury, you still talking about, it's about change. Is it change about us, or about us as a whole, let's say, or is it just his thing? But it's definitely about change. It's changing the dynamics in the thought and the ability to get something done. So now we get into Twitter. Now everybody know that Twitter been popping for a long time. Twitter is very popular, or was very popular under this name, which is in 29, which also matches right here exactly, right? I just realized that, and also matches over here exactly. So these things, this is his mood, this is his wave, period. And it still brings you into this high priestess, this being able to tap in, this being able to communicate on both sides, and still being able to gather and pick up information that's unknown, especially if you know you like him and he likes all of this stuff. You got analytics, you got likes, dislikes, who likes what, who goes for what color you like, all of that. That's normal stuff when you're dealing with technology, analytics, social media, so on and so forth. Meanwhile, he comes out of Twitter and goes into X, which brings you into this 6, which brings you into this Venus energy, which matches in his high frequency over there. So you see his numbers are consistent, whether he's doing it consciously or not. They are consistent. He's not out his realm. So now we talk about this thing that I find fascinating, which is the SpaceX Starship, right? Which comes down into 23.5, which brings you into the Mercury, of course, because we already saw that. And then we have the Starship, which is 36 and 9, which matches his little Pluto energy, right? Now, I didn't get into this as far because I want to do it with the tarot cards. I didn't break it down, but what we got, 59, and so we got 14 and 5. So it's still going to bring you this Mercury energy anyway. Now, when we get into the Mars mission, because I think that's interesting, when we break down Mars in numbers, you get the 15 and the 6, right? So I did some looking, Now, Mars being what the number 8 in numerology, but when we're counting the planet from the sun, then it's 4. So even this still stays in that realm of the 4, the realm of the 8, the realm of the 2. So you see, he's in there in his sixes and stuff like that. Now, outside of that, it made me think. Okay, he threw his rocket into orbit 3 times thus far, and so I was thinking, like, if he managed to get this situation into Mars, it made me think of these. It made me think of the months. Let's say the months of the year. So I decided that I was gonna take each one of the months of the year and break them down into numbers. And so what I found interesting is that we dealing with in numerology 8. We dealing with the fact that from the sun is the 4th planet, and we also dealing with the fact that he's trying to get there. So what I got is August. Out of all of the months, when I broke down the numbers, the only month that came down, of course, is 8, and the only one that broke down in numbers is 8. So I said, well, let's see what happens if I come up with 8/1/2024, which came up with 2033, which still brings you into 8. So even, let's say he got the rocket up there right now, we don't know nothing about it. It'll probably be something that's discussed in 2033, or he'll keep trying and he'll probably get that swing up there in 2033. That's how I see it. But we're going to look further into the mindset with the tarot cards and a bone throw. As far, looking at the numerology, there's no way that anyone could get mad. He's in his numbers, whether that's, because he's conscious and if he's consciously into calculating every move, and I don't know. But if he's consciously, then yeah. If not, then subconsciously and naturally, this is how he's gravitating. This is how he's moving around. Period. And so, I will see you all for the tarot card read and the bone throw. But we still have to open up our mind, our concepts of reality. And I even have to do that because I even have my own little things that I like and don't like, and things that I tend to feel is important, or that we all as a people tend to feel is important as not. But at the end of the day, this is no disrespect to those who get it. The reality is, if we all as a collective focused on grabbing a Lambo and he's somewhere building a starship, then we out of sync. Because we not building a starship. We need to figure out how we, that, you understand what I'm saying? So you worth a couple of million, he building a starship. He worth that. He worth a lot. So financially, I'm talking about. And so this is how we got to think. Period. We gonna be driving and he gonna be somewhere playing in space. Anyway, I will talk to you all later, and we are going to do the tarot card read and the bone throw. It is me, NBT Sky. You already know what time it is. Smooches!